What's up, everybody? It's your boy, and I'm back, man. I'm back, Brooklyn Mclinn, and we are going to continue our journey through my book of favorite quotes, A 30-Day Transformation to Becoming a Better You. We are up to quote number 21, and I know it's been some time since I've shot one of these videos, but like many of you know, I had a little hurdle that I needed to take care of, but your boy's getting his swagger back, getting my mojo back. All right, so we just gonna keep on reading, and you know what's interesting is, um, I mean, for those that don't know, I suffered, or I experienced, I don't even like saying suffered, I experienced a heart attack a couple of months ago, and reading this stuff, I wrote this before that happened, so it's like, oh wow, like perspectives, like it's always changing, it's always evolving. So we're gonna continue to read from this, and then I will just interject when I feel like it's appropriate to add new stuff to it. Okay, man. I hope everybody's doing well. Um, that you're creating the life that you believe you deserve. And I know it's a lot of craziness going on right now with, the elections and the police brutality in the streets against people of color. Um, and then, some people of color are firing back. You know what I mean? So it's just tragic that civilians and cops are being killed. And, a buddy of mine recently said that he doesn't think it's getting worse. He just think it's getting filmed now, which is really a good point. And that's what I've been saying. I'm like, I'm not surprised of the things that are happening. It's just that people are starting to see it up close and personal because everybody got a camera phone and they're stopping to record stuff. But, our country, if we're being honest, like we were built on a history of violence. We are a violent nation, period. From our military to, the movies that we make and, the images that we perpetuate. And I'm guilty of it as well. Every character that I played hasn't been the most wholesome person. So I'm definitely not sitting here pointing a finger at nothing. Like, I believe change starts with the individual, with yourself, with myself. So, but I just don't care to hear the complaining, and it's okay to complain, which basically means you're identifying that you don't like something that's happening, and it becomes complaining when you don't do anything about it. So it's like, what as individuals are we going to do about creating change? Excuse me. Because as individuals, we create the society, and as individuals, we create the whole, we create the country. So, as long as we're looking outside of ourselves for the answers, we always gonna be searching. As long as we're looking for politicians to do things that we believe they should be doing, we're gonna be waiting to the ends of time, man. So, I just personally hope that in your life that you're, creating the life that you want to see, and you're happy with yourself, and you're honoring your spirit and honoring your health and honoring your body and your family, and you're just going after it, man. Life is too short, and we seeing that day in and day out, to not go after the things that you say you want or you believe you deserve. All right. My book of favorite quotes, we're up to number 21. The top line says, "Far from what I once was, but not yet what I'm going to be." And it just never rings more true. Alright, so we're going to read, and then we're going to chop it up for a second. So number 21. Family is like branches on a tree. We all grow in different directions, yet our roots remain the same. Okay, that's number 21. Family is like branches on a tree. We all grow in different directions, yet our roots remain the same. And that quote was by Unknown. All right, my family has been so instrumental in my development. The experiences we've had, the ups, the downs, and everything in between. Looking back, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I truly have reached a state of complete gratitude for it all. This happened recently for me. I woke up one morning and it came over me like a complete calm, and the feeling that I'm very happy and thankful of the journey life has me on. I am in complete gratitude that everything that has happened needed to happen for me to become the beacon of light that I continue to try to be. With the most tragic events in my life being my dad's passing, followed closely by my brother going away to prison, these traumatic experiences, although gut-wrenching at the time, paved the way for my evolution. It's eerie to think that I am grateful, but I am for those instances. It taught me the meaning of loss and ultimately taught me to love and cherish every breath that I take, because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. How could any of us truly know joy if pain didn't exist? How could we learn to appreciate love if hate didn't exist? My mom being remarried after my dad died was challenging for me because it forced me to face the fact that life was moving on, even though I wanted to stay in the past. At some point, I realized that moving on doesn't mean you don't love those that are gone, but that you love yourself enough to keep moving forward with life. All of my brothers have taught me a lot by their successes and mistakes. I remember when I was younger and a doggone know-it-all, telling one of my brothers that by the time I reached his age, if my life was heading in his direction, I would kill myself. Wow, I can't believe I actually said that. We did say some rotten things to each other, but this one I actually meant. At 20, I was very arrogant and judgmental, but the comment I made didn't generate the reaction I was hoping for. Instead, my brother smirked and said, "You'll see." Boy, did I ever. When I reached the age he was at the time, which was 25, I called him on my birthday. He wished me a happy birthday and said, "What's up?" I said, "Bro, I owe you an apology." He said, "Why?" I said, "Remember when I said if my life was like yours at 25, I would kill myself?" He said, "Yep." I said, "I'm sorry. I had no idea how challenging this life is." He laughed, forgave me, and said, "That's why I didn't say anything at the time, because I knew you would see for yourself." And my other brother, who was a product of my dad's affair on my mom, I see his entrepreneurial spirit, dedication to his family, and not wanting his kids to grow up without their dad in the house like he did. My mom's acceptance of my brother and his mother, ultimately as family, showed me that putting your ego and pride aside for the good of the whole team. The endurance that my other brother displayed being incarcerated for 13 years, getting out and not skipping a beat, is admirable. I appreciate his willingness to invest monies with me because he believes and trusts in his little brother. I respect my dad for working and hustling for his family to show us the best life that he could provide before he passed. The integrity that each of my family members has shown has all been a part of the foundation that allowed me to use it as a springboard to be the best I could be. The support and love they show me is immeasurable. Like the quote says, although we have grown to love to do different things and lead separate lives, we are all ultimately cut from the same cloth. Without you, there is no me. I appreciate the path you have paved for me to follow. Every success, every mistake has shown me to be my own man and to live with integrity, decency, honesty, and respect for myself. I love you all more than words can express. Family is forever, till death do us part. I encourage you to find and express your appreciation and gratitude for your family, no matter how big or small you think their contribution is. Understand that they were all doing the very best that they could and were not trying to intentionally screw anything up the same way you are not. Without them being who they are, you could not have become who you are and who you aspire to become. And that is number 21. Family is like branches on a tree. We all grow in different directions, yet our roots remain the same. And that's by an unknown author. This is really interesting to read this, after some of the experience. I wrote this book like a year ago, and so much has happened since then. And that's the beauty of even writing something like this, because if I was trying to wait for the perfect condition, it's like we would never try to do anything. It's like these stories resonated and made sense at the time that I wrote it. It was my life up until that point. And then so much has happened in the last year or so that, I can write. That's why people write more books or do revised editions, and how your perspective continues to change and evolve over time. So, I'm looking here and I wrote that the most tragic events being my dad's passing and my brother going away to prison. And yes, those have a lot of weight. And then now I can add the heart attack up in there. You know what I mean? Like, and as an experience, but I wouldn't say it was as traumatic as the first two, because at the time I just didn't have the awareness or consciousness to look at it for other than what it was. It was a death and somebody going away. Where when I experienced a heart attack, like, it never crossed my mind that I could die, even though the doctor was saying you're having a massive heart attack, right? Like, and not to, like, I'm not, poking my chest out or patting myself on the back. It was just, that's how far my thinking has come in my lifetime, and it's exciting because I know it can keep evolving to higher and greater, spaces of consciousness. And I also appreciate it because while I'm doing this kind of stuff and trying to encourage people and inspire people, it doesn't ever mean that things don't happen to everybody. I don't care how positive somebody is or how positive I think I am, shit still happens to all of us, right? Nobody's immune from the tragedies and disappointments in life. So it's not the things that happen to you, it's how you respond to those things that happen to you. Like, does it send you in a spiral and throw you out of control? Or do you stand in the eye of the storm knowing that the storm will pass? And on the other side of it is something greater, depending on your perspective, right? So, my family, and no family is perfect. And do you even want it? Like, I wouldn't want no perfect family. It's like we need both sides of the ledger. We need pain to understand joy, to really appreciate it. And I actually wrote in here about being grateful for those experiences, and they were some of the most traumatic experiences at that time, right? Being grateful for every breath that I take. And what the heart attack taught me was there's deeper levels of gratitude. So now when I say I'm grateful for every breath, I really meant it, and I thought I meant it before, right? So being this close to outside opinion to being dead, and I respect their opinions, it never crossed my mind, but I truly am grateful for every breath. Like, every moment becomes that much more rich. And not that I don't know if I would have gotten to that space without experiencing a heart attack, but that's how I can extract something positive or grateful from that experience, because I'm like, wow, like, I do believe those things that I say. And when I'm talking this kind of stuff, it lets you know that everybody goes through stuff, man. Everybody. And my family, like my mom, and my dad for that matter, and not a perfect union by no stretch of the imagination, but to have the wherewithal to do things differently with me than they did with my older brothers, right? Because they were just younger when they had my older brothers. They were in their early 20s. Like, I can't imagine, having a kid, and people still do in my early 20s. Like, I know I didn't know shit. So I know they didn't know shit. But you gotta make do. You gotta adjust. You gotta, you know what I mean? Like, you're doing the best that you can. And that's what I meant by appreciating our family, because nobody's trying to intentionally mess anything up. I mean, imagine when you were 20, or if you're 20, or, and having a kid, like, what do you know? You talk to your parents, like, you're trying to figure it out as you're going along. And that's what my parents did. And they had me when they were in their late 20s. So the perspective grew, the awareness grew, the consciousness grew. They did some things differently with me, where I didn't have to experience a lot of the things that my older brothers did. Right? So because of that, I'm appreciative. And when I was younger, I didn't understand that. I wanted to fight for my story. No, we had it the same, and I got the same ass whoopings as y'all, and you know what I mean? But the truth of the matter is, it was different. And I benefit from it. I benefited from their mistakes. I benefited from the things that they did well, the things that they didn't do well. From my brothers and my parents. So it's through that I have confidence to just write what I feel and not worry about if it's perfect and how it's going to be received, because the intention is there. So, I really encourage you, man, and everybody's family situation is different. Pain is relative, because we can sit here and argue, well, yeah, that happened to you, but this was way worse for me. And I think that's where we get tripped up as a society, is we try to judge pain. And we try to, well, that wasn't as bad as that. It's like, pain is pain. And if we can show more compassion to each other when we're suffering, right? Regardless of, remove the judgments and, oh, that's a 5 on a scale of 10, and, well, he shot you in the leg, so that's not as bad as getting shot in the stomach. It's like, both of you guys got shot. Both of you guys are in pain. Both of you guys are suffering. So I try to not do that. Like, I don't try to equate pain. If somebody's in pain, I'm going to just try to show compassion, period. Whether I think, in past years, I'd have been like, ain't nothing to be tripping over. It's like, you just never know. Right? And that's what's lacking in our society, is compassion. So if you haven't expressed, or you haven't been able to get to a space where you can be appreciative of your family or grateful for your life experiences, like, I really suggest that you try. And just try. You may not be able to at this moment, but just try, because every decision that was made has gotten you to this point. Some of them our parents and family made, most of them we made. And as adults, we don't have to keep living with the same decisions that were made for us when we were kids. So that's what was liberating to me. And I had conversations with my mom and my brothers about why they did certain things and what was your thinking behind it. And not to blame, not to point fingers at, but just to understand. And once I got the explanations, I was like, oh, y'all was just doing the best that y'all could, the same way I am. So now what do I want to do moving forward? I want to make decisions that, right? And some of the choices that were made on our behalf benefit us. So I'm going to keep those. Some of them, fear-based or whatever, like, I need to pull those weeds out and replace them with something else. But we all have that option as adults. We don't have to do that. We don't have to keep living other people's choices. And that goes for society, which I don't, don't get me started on that. But you don't have to live by society's choices if they don't benefit you. And as long as you're not infringing on the happiness of somebody else, by all means, make your own choices. And even if you do, and then you are making decisions that are infringing on somebody else's happiness, there's consequences. The law of cause and effect. What goes around comes around. Okay? So, my book of favorite quotes, 30-day transformation to becoming a better you, and I know it's taking way longer than 30 days. Um, and we all are far from what we once were, but not yet where we're going to be. Okay? I appreciate you, and everybody keep your head up, keep striving, keep growing, keep demanding excellence from yourself, and you will reflect that image out into the world, and you will start to see a life that you can really be appreciative of. Peace.